Brussels has locked in a hard deadline, but Moscow is calling it a hard mistake. Dmitry Medvedev has ripped into the European Union's regulation banning Russian gas imports from 2027, branding the move outright idiotic. The charge is blunt, but the warning is sharper. Europe, he says, is engineering its own energy shock. By cutting off a major supply source, the EU is choosing scarcity over stability and volatility over realism. While serious geopolitical passions are raging in the United States around Epstein's Island, the European Union remains an island of calm, a zone of profound intellectual backwardness, idiocy. Medvedev argues the outcome is already predictable. Less Russian gas in the system means tighter markets and relentless upward pressure on prices. In his view, this is not a temporary disruption, but a structural shift that locks Europe into long-term energy stress. The ban, he says, does not weaken Russia, it weakens Europe's own economic foundations. In essence, the recipe for the systemic crisis into which the EU has driven itself is ready: less and less Russian gas and ever higher prices. The former Russian president frames the decision as ideology overruling economics. He warns that the costs will not be absorbed by policymakers in Brussels, but by industries facing stagnation and households facing higher bills. As supply shrinks, affordability erodes, and the pressure cascades through jobs, growth, and living standards across the continent. And whether an acceptable solution will emerge remains a mystery shrouded in darkness. For Medvedev, the equation is simple and unforgiving. Fewer pipelines, higher prices, deeper crisis. He insists the EU has written its own recipe for systemic trouble, one where energy insecurity becomes permanent, competitiveness suffers, and ordinary Europeans pay the price of political choices made far from their homes. As a result, falling incomes and consumption have led to a situation in which Europeans are saving on everything, wrapping themselves in 3 layers of clothing because of the cold in their homes